A civil lawsuit filed against Garth Brooks yesterday in California makes multiple serious allegations against the singer.
Part 1. For millions of fans, Garth Brooks has always represented the heart of American country music. His signature cowboy hat, energetic performances, and unforgettable songs helped redefine what a country concert could be. He became a symbol of hard work, family values, and perseverance, selling more records than almost any solo artist in American history. From sold-out stadiums to emotional ballads that touch generations, his career has seemed almost unstoppable. Yet behind the spotlight lies a story that is far more complicated than the image most people have known for decades. Success often comes with a price that audiences never see. While fans celebrated chart-topping albums and record-breaking tours, Brooks faced enormous personal sacrifices that unfolded away from television cameras. The pressure of maintaining one of the biggest careers in music, raising a family, coping with personal loss, and navigating the expectations that come with worldwide fame created challenges few people could truly understand. His life has been filled with remarkable highs, but also moments of disappointment, heartbreak, and difficult choices that shaped the man behind the music. Rather than being defined by a single event, Garth Brooks' life is a story of constant reinvention. Every major chapter brought new opportunities, but also demanded sacrifices. At 64, he remains one of country music's most recognizable figures, yet his journey serves as a reminder that extraordinary success does not eliminate life's hardships. Behind every standing ovation stood years of relentless work, emotional struggles, and decisions that would change the course of his personal life forever. Garth Brooks was born Troy Garth Brooks on February 7, 1962, in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He was the youngest of 6 children in a lively household where music was more than entertainment. It was simply part of everyday life. His mother, Colleen Carroll Brooks, had enjoyed success as a country singer during the 1950s, appearing on television and recording professionally before putting her career aside to focus on raising her family. His father, Troy Raymond Brooks Jr., worked as a draftsman in the oil industry and believed deeply in discipline, responsibility, and hard work. Together, his parents created a home where creativity and determination existed side by side. Family gatherings often turned into informal talent shows. Everyone was encouraged to sing, play an instrument, or perform in some way. These evenings helped young Garth develop confidence long before he ever stepped onto a professional stage. Music wasn't treated as a career goal, it was simply part of family life. Looking back years later, Brooks frequently credited those nights for teaching him how to connect with people through songs and storytelling. Despite growing up around music, Brooks did not initially dream of becoming a famous singer. During his teenage years, athletics occupied much of his attention. At Yukon High School in Oklahoma, he excelled in football, baseball, and track and field. His strongest event became the javelin throw, a skill impressive enough to earn him a scholarship to Oklahoma State University. College introduced Brooks to a much broader world. While working toward a degree in advertising, he continued competing in athletics, but gradually found himself spending more time with music. Friends encouraged him to perform at local bars, clubs, and small venues around Stillwater. At first, these performances were simply a way to earn extra money while attending school. Few people could have predicted that these modest appearances would eventually launch one of the biggest careers in entertainment history. Unlike many aspiring musicians who immediately chased fame, Brooks approached performing with remarkable humility. He studied audiences carefully, learning which songs connected with listeners and how to command a room through energy rather than elaborate production. His natural charisma quickly became obvious. Whether performing for 20 people or 200, he delivered every show with the enthusiasm of someone playing the biggest concert of his life. In 1984, Brooks graduated from Oklahoma State University with a bachelor's degree in advertising. It was a practical choice that reflected his father's influence, ensuring he had a career option outside the uncertain music industry. Yet the pull toward Nashville, the center of country music, grew stronger with every passing month. Like countless young artists before him, Brooks believed Nashville offered the opportunity to turn his passion into a profession. Filled with optimism, he made his first trip there during the mid-1980s, hoping record labels would recognize his talent. Reality proved far more difficult than expected. The city was filled with gifted performers competing for the same dream. Record executives heard hundreds of hopeful singers every week, and Brooks found himself facing rejection after rejection. The experience was discouraging enough that he returned home to Oklahoma almost immediately, wondering whether his dream had been unrealistic from the very beginning. Many careers might have ended at that point. Rejection has convinced countless talented musicians to abandon their ambitions forever. Brooks, however, refused to let one disappointing trip define his future. Instead of giving up, he returned to performing in Oklahoma, improving his stage presence, writing songs, and waiting patiently for another opportunity. During this period, another important chapter of his life was unfolding. While attending college, Brooks met Sandy Mal in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Their meeting has become one of country music's most memorable stories. According to Brooks, they first crossed paths during an unusual incident at a local nightclub where Mal became involved in an altercation. What began as an unexpected introduction gradually developed into a close friendship and eventually a serious relationship. Sandy quickly became far more than just a supportive partner. She believed in Brooks' talent long before the rest of the world knew his name. As he continued performing in local venues, she encouraged him to keep pursuing music despite repeated setbacks. The couple married on May 24, 1986, beginning a partnership that would remain central to Brooks' early career. With renewed confidence in Sandy beside him, Brooks made another decision that would change everything. Rather than treating Nashville as a short experiment, the couple committed to relocating permanently. It was a major gamble. Money was limited, success was far from guaranteed, and there were no promises that the music industry would ever notice him. Life in Nashville was anything but glamorous. Brooks worked tirelessly, performing anywhere he could while introducing himself to publishers, songwriters, producers, and industry professionals. He quickly learned that talent alone was rarely enough. Building relationships, demonstrating reliability, and developing a unique identity were equally important. His persistence finally paid off during a showcase performance at the legendary Bluebird Cafe, one of Nashville's most respected venues for discovering new talent. On that particular evening, fate intervened. Capitol Records executive Lynn Schultz happened to be in attendance. Impressed by Brooks' performance and undeniable stage presence, Schultz recognized something different about the young Oklahoma singer. Soon afterward, Brooks signed with Capitol Records, receiving the opportunity he had spent years chasing. His self-titled debut album arrived in 1989. While it reflected traditional country influences, it also hinted at something fresh. Brooks brought unusual energy to both his recordings and live performances, blending heartfelt storytelling with excitement normally associated with rock concerts. The album featured If Tomorrow Never Comes, a deeply emotional ballad that resonated with audiences across the country. The song became his first #1 country hit and introduced listeners to an artist capable of balancing tenderness with powerful vocals. Critics praised both his authenticity and his ability to connect emotionally with ordinary people. Still, no one could have predicted what happened next. In 1990, Brooks released No Fences, an album that completely transformed his career. Songs like The Thunder Rolls, Unanswered Prayers, and especially Friends in Low Places became cultural phenomena. Country radio embraced the record, while audiences who had never considered themselves country music fans suddenly found themselves singing along. Friends in Low Places became more than just a hit song. It evolved into an anthem recognized around the world. Concert audiences treated every performance like a celebration, creating an atmosphere unlike anything country music had experienced before. Brooks' concerts became famous for their remarkable energy. He sprinted across stages, interacted constantly with fans, and performed with an intensity usually reserved for rock stars. His willingness to challenge expectations helped reshape the entire genre. Many artists before him had delivered polished, traditional performances. Brooks introduced elaborate lighting, dramatic entrances, wireless microphones, and nonstop movement that transformed country concerts into full-scale arena events. As album sales soared into the millions, Brooks became one of the biggest recording artists on the planet. Awards arrived one after another, including Grammy Awards, Country Music Association honors, and American Music Awards. More importantly, fans developed a personal connection with him because his songs reflected everyday experiences: love, family, faith, regret, friendship, and hope. Yet as his professional life reached astonishing heights, another reality quietly emerged behind the scenes. Success demanded constant touring. Concert schedules stretched across hundreds of performances, keeping Brooks away from home for weeks or even months at a time. While audiences witnessed the excitement of sold-out arenas, his family experienced the absence that came with maintaining such an extraordinary career. Few people realized that the greatest challenge of Garth Brooks' life would not come from critics, competitors, or disappointing album sales. Instead, it would come from trying to balance unimaginable fame with the responsibilities of being a husband and Part 2. As Garth Brooks' popularity exploded throughout the early 1990s, his personal life began changing just as dramatically as his professional career. Every new album seemed to break another record. Every tour attracted larger crowds than the last. Fans packed stadiums months before concert dates, radio stations played his songs around the clock, and industry awards became a regular part of his life. From the outside, it appeared he had achieved the perfect balance of fame, success, and happiness. Behind closed doors, however, maintaining that balance was becoming increasingly difficult. In 1992, Garth and Sandy welcomed their first daughter, Taylor Maine Pearl Brooks. 2 years later came their second daughter, August Anna Brooks, followed by their youngest, Allie Colleen Brooks, in 1996. Becoming a father changed Brooks in profound ways. Friends and family often described how seriously he took parenthood, saying that no professional accomplishment ever meant more to him than his 3 daughters. Even so, being one of the busiest entertainers in America made family life extraordinarily challenging. During the height of his career, Brooks spent much of the year traveling. Major tours often required months on the road, with concerts scheduled across the United States and internationally. While he stood before tens of thousands of cheering fans, Sandy remained at home managing the day-to-day responsibilities of raising 3 young children. The arrangement placed enormous pressure on their marriage. Years later, both Brooks and Sandy spoke publicly about how fame gradually changed their relationship. The issue was never a lack of love. Instead, it was the simple reality that constant separation creates emotional distance. Every time Brooks returned home from another tour, he had to readjust to family life almost overnight, only to leave again soon afterward. Meanwhile, Sandy had developed routines and responsibilities that often required her to function independently. She handled school schedules, doctor's appointments, birthdays, homework, and countless ordinary moments without her husband present. Those responsibilities became heavier as Brooks' career continued expanding. The challenge was one shared by many families in the entertainment industry, though few experienced it on such an enormous scale. As Brooks later acknowledged in interviews, he became so focused on maintaining his career that he sometimes failed to recognize how much pressure his absence placed on his family. Success demanded constant attention. Recording sessions led to promotional appearances. Promotional appearances led to award shows. Award shows led to international tours. The cycle rarely stopped. What fans celebrated as extraordinary dedication often meant sacrificing precious time at home. By the late 1990s, cracks had begun appearing in the marriage. Although the couple worked hard to preserve their relationship, the demands of celebrity life continued creating obstacles. Publicly, Brooks remained one of the most admired figures in country music. Privately, however, both he and Sandy faced difficult conversations about their future. Around the same period, another painful event deeply affected Brooks. In August 1999, his mother, Colleen Brooks, passed away after battling cancer. Her death represented far more than the loss of a parent. She had been one of the earliest believers in his musical ability, encouraging him to perform long before anyone imagined international success. She had inspired his love of music during childhood and celebrated every milestone throughout his remarkable career. Losing her left an emotional void that Brooks has spoken about with great honesty over the years. Grief forced him to reconsider what truly mattered. For years, he had been chasing one professional goal after another, believing success required constant movement. His mother's passing reminded him that time with loved ones cannot be recovered once it is gone. Only a year later, Brooks made one of the most surprising announcements in country music history. In October 2000, at the height of his career, he announced his retirement from recording